Ain't nobody really fucking with me like they always saying. All these people hit me up, but I know that they be fake.
Hey everybody, I'm Riley.
I'm Nate.
Welcome back to another video, and today is going to be a commentary about the 5 movies we have seen this year so far, and we're going to be ranking them from worst to best. So for the ranking, we're going to be basing them off of whether or not they were good, if the cinematography, the overall themes, and if the plot was good. We're pretty much just going to be judging the movies based on some of those principles. Now, for my number 5 spot, I gotta say The Turning. The reason for this pick as the worst movie of 2020 so far is because I felt like the movie was extremely sloppy. The acting by Finn Wolfhard, he did a pretty good job.
My bad.
But besides that, there was no real saving grace towards the movie. When you're first watching the trailer, you're expected to have this straightforward, interesting plot about a nanny visiting this urban mansion in order to teach some kids there, and you're led to believe that there's some supernatural presence. And although this theme is explored a bit in the movie, it ends up getting written over by 2 other ideas and concepts, and that just makes it for a complete and utter disaster. It makes it extremely confusing, and overall it does not help the movie out in any way. Another bad thing I have about this movie, or another critique, is that the ending, there was no ending whatsoever. It just cuts to black and we're left, sitting in our seats being entirely clueless. The showing we actually went to go see it for, everyone in the theater just had a look of confusion when the credits rolled because, like I said, there was no ending. It just cut straight to black and you're just left to think. And although some movies can actually pull that off to where you're left to think your own interpretation, this movie doesn't pull that off because, like I said, in the trailer, you're thought to, have this plot about this one idea, that being supernatural, but when you throw in 2 more plots or 2 more ideas, it just makes for a complete and utter disaster. So that's why I chose The Turning as the number 5th spot.
Alright, so for my number 5 spot, it's the same movie because the movie was crap. That's really the only explanation I have for it. I didn't even want to see the movie at first. Well, I didn't want to see it at all.
I'm the one who talked him into it.
Yeah, and there was one couple besides me and him, and there was 2 other people, which was a couple in the movie theater, like in the room to watch the movie, and once the movie was over, they were like, what the heck? Because it literally had no ending. It was one of those kinds of movies, and
It just cut straight to credits.
It was a movie to where I almost fell asleep to. Out of over 50 movies we've seen at least, that was one of 3 movies that I started getting tired of, and that just explains. That's the only explanation I need.
I gotta say, the only saving grace about that movie is that it was so stupid the way they shot it that me and you actually found it funny.
Yeah,
that was the only saving grace, was how stupid it was. We literally were laughing through parts that were supposed to be scary and suspenseful, but they weren't.
Now there were parts to where I don't really think we jumped a lot.
I might have at one scene, but besides that,
it was just. Actually, I think we did jump at one time, but it was stupid and a waste of money.
If I had to give the movie one prop, or the only, reason why you should go watch it, besides that it's so bad that you have to watch, besides that, I would have to say the atmosphere. I feel like the producers did give like a creepy atmosphere towards the movie, and I do give them props for that. With all the fog illuminating around the mansion, the halls being completely pitch dark, voices, they did a really good job at that. But I feel like they could have done so much better for the movie entirely.
And one more thing I want to say was, a movie like that had potential to be like scary, but it was just a disappointment. And the only thing I really liked about it, which there was really nothing I liked, was I guess what's his actor? What's the actor's
Finn
name?
Wolfhard?
Yeah, him, because I like him from Stranger Things, and he's a pretty good actor, and he did really good at that movie. So that's all I have.
All right, so for my number 4 spot, I gotta choose Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, before I get in this ranking, by no means is this movie bad. I just felt like the number 3 spot was better than Sonic, but it was very close, like this close. Now, the reason why I put out the number 4 spot is because I had a few problems with this movie. There was this reoccurring kind of like scene that kept on happening throughout the movie, in which Sonic kept on getting knocked out and presumably dead. And the first time you were actually led to believe, like, is he hurt, like, is he gonna be okay? But when it happens the second time, you're like, all right, this is getting a bit repetitive, but it's whatever. Then it happens for a third time, and you're like, all right, why is this necessary? And I feel like they did that just to fill in some empty space. Another problem I had with the movie is that there was towards the end, they pretty much like make this homage to Olive Garden and some of their items, like the Never Ending Pasta Bowl. Like, have you tried the Never Ending Pasta Bowl? It's never ending. And it's such an obvious gimmick that the producers are trying to get you to go to Olive Garden. It's like, before the movie was even released, Olive Garden hit up the company that made Sonic and told them that, hey, if you do this for us, we'll, I don't know, help pitch in or something like that. That was completely unnecessary. Yeah, it was kind of funny, but it was still cringy. And I actually, when I watched the movie review before seeing this, just to see, if the movie was good or not, the person I watched, Chris Stuckman, he pretty much brought up the same point, and I can understand why he had that critique, because it's entirely unnecessary, like I said. But besides that, I felt like Jim Carrey did an excellent job playing the portrayal of Eggman. He's always done good in roles of playing some like psychotic, crazy person, and this character portrayal is no shy of excellence, in my opinion. The action was good, the music was good, it was funny, it's an overall good family film. And yeah, I really do recommend it, but I feel like they could have improved some areas.
So for my number 4 spot, it's Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, and trying to think. This movie was one of the better DC movies. DC are known for, like, I guess you could say, flops in the box office, such as
Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League,
Suicide Squad,
and just to name a few, and Batman vs Superman, which I personally liked. But just this was one, like I said, one of the better movies, and a couple of things I don't really like about it, that I disliked about it, was the villains were killed off too easily. One got shot in the heart with a crossbow, and some other things that I'm not gonna spoil for it. And I really don't have an explanation on the movie.
Alright, so For my number 3 spot, I gotta choose Birds of Prey. I was gonna switch around some roles, but then I decided not to. The reason why I picked Birds of Prey for the number 3 spot is because, if you don't already know, in my previous commentary on the channel, I pretty much explained that, I've always been a DC fan. I'm a really big fan of the animated shows, the animated movies, the games, while I'm a more bigger fan of the Marvel live action movies. But this was the one exception to where the DC film was an actual good DC film. It's one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion. The acting was awesome. The female actor who played Huntress, I'm sorry for forgetting your name. She was awesome. I don't think there was ever a live action portrayal of Huntress. Same thing with Black Canary. And I felt like those two actors did really good jobs for their roles. They also had some pretty awesome fight scenes for those two characters. But the two people that really shined in this movie was Margot Robbie portraying Harley Quinn once again, and Ewan McGregor portraying Black Mask. Now, I'm a sucker for Black Mask. He's probably my second favorite DC villain, number 1 being Joker. And just overall, Roman Sionis's his overall style of executing villainy is interesting because, yes, he's calm at it, but he's also sadistic and messed up in the head. And I feel like Ewan did a very good job portraying that character.
Are you talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi actor?
Yeah, he's also the person who portrayed Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars prequel films, as well as he made a cameo in Rise of Skywalker, if you didn't already know that. He also plays a grown-up Danny Torrance in Doctor Sleep, which is another highly recommended film that I do advise you to go watch. It's one of the better films of 2019. But besides that, besides the good stuff like the action, the characters, the character development, it was funny. It made me laugh a lot, especially chase scenes when Harley has like a bounty put on her head. I felt like scenes like that were shot pretty well, and the producers knew that they wanted that scene to be funny, and both Margot as well as the producers really did a good job for that part. Now, my critique for this movie is, like my brother said, they killed off the villains way too quickly. I did not like that whatsoever. Especially since these two villains were just brought into the movie. This is their first ever live action portrayal, and they're killed off like that. I felt like they could have, extended their runtime into other movies. Like, I don't know, Victor Zsasz survives the shot to the heart or the neck, whatever part of whatever area it was, and that Black Mask survived or didn't get blown up by a grenade, that he ended up running away with the kid, and it sets up for a sequel or maybe even a spin-off movie. I feel like they could have done that approach instead of just straightly killing them off. Now, besides that, the movie was good. I really did enjoy it. Like I said, it's probably one of the best DC films, but not the best. The best being Joker, of course. But besides that, I don't really have any other critiques for the movie. And yeah.
So my third movie is Sonic, and when I first found out about this movie, I immediately wanted to see it because Sonic was such a popular video game, and I never really like played the Sonic games. I think I played it once in my life, which was years ago, but it was a really good movie. Reasons for that is being it was funny. There were some cringy parts such as Donut Lord part and stuff like that. Him talking to the donuts and crap like that. It is a really good family movie to watch too. Jim Carrey played a really good role in this movie, and like he said, he's really good in playing like sadistic characters or crazy, such as when he played in The Mask and other funny movies such as Bruce Almighty, which he doesn't really play a sadistic role in that, just a funny role, right?
Mm-hmm. And as well as the Riddler in one of the old Batman movies.
I completely forgot about that. Anyways, but Jim Carrey is my favorite actor. I never really cared for him because I guess I didn't watch enough of his movies, but he played really good in this movie. And like you said, the thing I don't dislike about this movie, which is really the only thing, is that it was too repetitive how he got knocked out. The first time he got knocked out, you would think that, like, is he okay, is he dead? And then as it happens, like, several other times, you're like, you already know he's going to come back to life because it was just that kind of situation. And it seems like every time he got knocked out, it was kind of the same way, which would be, spoiler alert, within, like, an explosion. Or high energy explosion, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, as well as, I'll help you out a bit here.
Yeah.
You also said something like it made him seem weak.
Yeah.
Like that the creators made him underpowered, or more underpowered than his video game or comic book counterpart.
Yeah, it seemed, I don't know, like I said, I never played the video games, but just watching the movie, it just seemed like something was messing with his powers, like he wasn't as powerful. And I forgot what else I was gonna say.
I think that's all that.
No, there was something else I wanted to say. I'll think of it some other time.
Alright, so for my number 2 spot, I gotta say the Way Back. The reason for this is because I felt like the movie as a whole was near perfection. Ben Affleck did an extremely good job portraying the role of Jack Cunningham, who is pretty much a former basketball player for a high school team at a church, turned alcoholic, and then he gets an offering to coach at the same school that he played at, and you know, that overall portrayal of someone who's an alcoholic, yes, it's easy to portray, but at the same time it's not. You know, you can have someone who has no sheer sense of what it's like to be an alcoholic, and you know, when you get someone who's an actual alcoholic who actually struggles with alcoholism, like Ben Affleck in real life, it just completely transforms the movie for the better and makes it seem so realistic because he's actually facing problems with alcohol in real life. And you know, that just made the movie like that more enjoyable because you're actually thinking to yourself, wow, this is what he's actually going through. And it just makes it way more entertaining for me than someone who has no experience with alcoholism. And besides that, I gotta praise the rest of the cast, especially the people who are casted for the basketball team. They're funny, they're cringy, they're over dramatic, and it just makes for a funny as well as competitive basketball team in a movie. And yeah,
Is there anything you disliked about it?
The only thing I might have disliked about it is that there was one plot hole, but it's not really that serious. Pretty much, Ben Affleck's character gets drunk towards the end and ends up going to taking home this girl, and they accidentally wreck into someone's vehicle, and he accidentally goes into the wrong house and gets knocked out, wakes up in the hospital, and that girl that he was taking home, she just completely wipes out from the movie, and I feel like that was maybe a tiny little problem, but besides that, I didn't really have a problem with the movie.
Alright, so it's the same for me. Way Back is my second favorite movie of the year so far, because if you did not watch the commentary about our lives, basically we discussed the dark part of our lives, or more of my life, because I lived through it, kind of. Well, not kind of, but I did. But my mom has been struggling with alcohol ever since my stepdad at the time left, because he became mentally and physically abusive, and you wouldn't understand the pain if you never witnessed it, and it drove my mom to go into major depression, and just so many things has happened to her that have caused her to drink. She has gotten better, but there have been some setbacks that caused her to relapse, which is, alcoholism is a disease. You can't really help it. But anyways, that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to see this movie. The trailer itself made me feel some kind of way, emotional. The first couple minutes of the movie, I felt emotional. Just the scenes where he would just drink liquor after liquor, bottle after bottle, can after can, and to where he'd get himself drunk. It was a movie that jumped out at you, and like he said, this was actually, Ben Affleck got a lot of praise for acting in this movie, because they say it was the best he's ever acted in a movie in his career, and you wouldn't understand that until you watch the movie. And that is actually why he stopped the role for the Batman, because of his alcohol problems. But it was also a good sports movie. But when you're looking at a movie like this, you pay more attention to I don't really know. It was more of a basketball movie or sports movie, but the alcoholism played a big part in the movie, to where you'd pay more attention to one thing than the other purpose of the movie.
That was the drama part of the film.
Yeah, this movie was a drama, so that was the part of it. And the basketball team, it was basically like him trying to get his life back on track, which, if you think about it, it's really cool, because he used to be a basketball player in high school, and then he got questioned to be a coach, and spoiler again, he ended up losing his job as a coach at the end of the movie due to having liquor in the
Having
office.
liquor around the kids.
But overall, it was probably one of the best dramas I've ever seen. And yeah, and one more thing, Ben Affleck is a really good actor, so that had a big bonus.
Yeah, overall it was a good dramatic sports film that, both hits home and also, leaves you excited after walking out of the theaters, as well as remorse, since, overall the sports scenes with the games, they were exhilarating. You were actually rooting for the team. And then, as well as with the drama side, with the alcohol, you actually felt bad for Ben Affleck's character. So
Yeah, and a couple more things. This basketball team he coached, they were really bad, and then when he came along, they lost the first couple of games. They went 1-10, I think, or something like that. 1-8, somewhat around there. 1-8, 1-9, 1-10, around there. But as the games went on, they started winning, and they ended up winning the championship. And The only thing I didn't like about the movie, like he said, was about the wreck. This girl randomly, after a bar scene, just randomly popped up. There was really no storyline to her. And then after when he goes into the ER, she like disappears, vanishes, and we never find out who she is. But that's really not a problem with the movie I have, but that's just if something was a problem to me.
Alright, so for my number one pick, I gotta say 1917. Now, I don't have anything negative to say about this movie whatsoever. It is literally the definition of a masterpiece. And before I explain the things that I like, just know that if you ever see this movie, it literally is so in depth with detail and accuracy from scenes and details of World War One that it feels like the movie itself is pulling you from your seat into the theater screen, and that just makes for an overall exciting experience. Now, again, I don't know these actors' names. All I just know is the two actors who played the soldiers delivering the note. I felt that they did a good job.
Cumberbatch is one of the actors.
Well, he's the general.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. And then Benedict Cumberbatch, even though he's barely in the movie, he really does portray a good, stern military general who is mindset on winning, and that does blind his judgment. But if you're during a massive war that stretches all across the world, there's going to be times where your mind does get cloudy. Now, the cinematography, it was beautiful. They did this style of shooting to where it seemed like one big take instead of like multi-cut takes, which most movies seem like. And there was non-stop action from the beginning of the film all the way to the end. There were scenes of suspense, sadness whenever one of the two soldiers died. With suspense, the remaining soldier running across battlefields with mortars exploding behind them, planes having dogfights up in the air, bullets flying everywhere, and that combined with the musical score from the movie just made it completely awesome, and it's truly a movie that you have to experience for yourself. So yeah, I highly recommend go watching it because it is the best movie of 2020 in my opinion.
is there anything else? So my movie is obviously the same for number one, 1917. As soon as I saw the trailer, I fell in love with it. The first beginning of the movie, like as soon as the movie began, music just started playing. Like music was playing throughout the scenes in almost every scene, which it's not in the sense of repetitiveness, but as in like suspense, I guess, like realism. When they're walking through the trenches to get to the general to order the message, the music is just, it's
Nice and steady.
yeah, it's nice and steady, and there are scenes where like the music just kicks on and just starts getting intense, such as when there was a scene where there were two planes, one enemy plane and one friendly plane, were fighting, and the friendly plane won, but the enemy plane, how do you
Get shot out of the sky.
yeah, it gets out of the sky and heads towards the two soldiers when it lands. And before it catches up to them, it explodes. And the enemy in the passenger seat catches on fire. And then, sorry if I'm spoiling it, but you're gonna see it eventually. Anyways, one of the soldiers ends up dying by that enemy because he thinks the friendly guy tries to help him, not knowing he's. Did he know he was enemy?
Yeah, they knew he was an enemy.
Yeah, but the soldier was too kind and he helped him and ended up dying. Anyways, from that point forward, the other soldier, the lone one, he came across the very first intense scene of the movie, like by himself, was when there was a sniper that started shooting at him from a tower, and as soon as that started happening, the music just kicked up, and you would get, it was the kind of music that made you get chills all over your body and like get closer to the screen, because it pulled you in. It was like you were there. And him running, there was also another scene where he was trying to hide from the soldiers, and it saw the soldier and like with the enemy soldier started walking towards him, and then he started running, like sprinting towards him, and started shooting. With the friendly soldier, he started to run, and it was just intense because he was running, escaping this German soldier who kept shooting at him. And then what he said about the scene where with the mortars and stuff, basically he was close to the general, but by the time he would have went all the way around to the trenches, it would have had rain at the time, so he jumped over the trenches and ran to the battlefield as soldiers were shooting at each other. Explosives were going on everywhere, and the explosives, the way they made the movie was, it kept getting closer and closer to him, and it was just another thing that was really good was the detail of the movie, such as decaying bodies, decaying horses, and barbed wire, swamps, and just the dog fights in the air.
Pretty much what he's trying to say in a more simpler terms.
Yeah.
Because I can tell that you're getting like a bit tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Pretty much what he's trying to say is that it really did feel like a true World War I scene. You know, all the muddy trenches, the decaying bodies, the rows and rows of barbed wire just sticking out all over no man's land, the dogfights in the air, the mortars, the explosions, the gunfire, just all made it feel like a true war movie, and really did just pull you from your seat and placed you in the shoes of a soldier during World War I.
But one more thing, if you like war movies, this is a perfect movie to go
Definitely.
see. Best war movie I've ever seen.
It's getting a lot of attention for like being the best war movie since Saving Private Ryan.
Which neither of us have seen that, I believe. I don't think you've seen it, I've never seen it.
And, you know, this movie dethroned my previous favorite war movie, that being Hacksaw Ridge. That was a really good movie. I liked it, and yes, it's based on a true story, but I feel like 1917 just, you know, one-upped that.
Yeah. And then my favorite war movie before this was probably tied between Hacksaw Ridge, American Sniper, and then Lone Survivor, which all three of those are tied together because it was so good. But yeah, this is definitely my number one war movie of all time.
That's all I have to say. What about you?
That's all I have to say.
Alright, well, thank you for watching. It is very much appreciated that you took about 34 minutes out of your day to watch this commentary. If you are not already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like on the video, and if you have any feedback to how we could improve our commentaries, you know, leave a comment in the description below. Leave a comment in the comment section, and we will look over it and provide feedback towards your comment. My name is Riley.
My name is Nate.